Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we are going back through the footballing history books and looking at 10 players who changed the game forever. Manuel Neuer. Bayern Munich might now be hunting for a replacement in their goal for 33-year-old Manuel Neuer, but the stopper won't be retiring with just his World Cup winners medal, a Champions League win and potentially 8 Bundesliga medals in the bag. He'll be hanging up his gloves knowing he's had a revolutionary touch on the game. Before Germany developed their captain, leader and legend, the footballing world was used to keepers cautiously patrolling the 6-yard area and sticking to the safety of their own goal line. Neuer, on the other hand, developed a guerrilla style of play that almost gave Bayern and Germany an 11th outfield player. As confident with the ball at his feet as he was with it in his hands, the sweeper keeper consistently diffused opposition attacks, working as a defender rather than just a shot stopper. Goalkeeping coach Andreas Kopke famously said that he'd never seen a better sweeper than Neuer, apart from maybe Beckenbauer. Over the last few years, we've seen an evolution with high lines and vicious presses taking charge in defensive thinking. Man City's Ederson is now moving goalkeeping to the next level, but it's difficult to believe that without Manuel Neuer taking those huge steps for mankind outside of the penalty area, the position would be so cleverly used today. George Best. In 2019, we're used to footballers gracing front covers of Vogue, interviewing for GQ and being ambassadors for every high fashion brand you can think of. But before George Best gained celebrity status in the 1960s, footballers were nothing more than athletes with surprisingly bad diets and drinking habits. Football's original pin-up, Best had an illustrious career on the field despite being told he was too small and light by his local club Glentoran as a youngster. The Northern Irishman debuted for Manchester United at just 17 years old, and he quickly rose to stardom. Best's ability on the ball and his exciting attacking style gave him a leading role in any game, but his most dramatic came on the European stage against the infamous Benfica side in 1966. Scoring a brace in United's 5-1 demolition of Eusebio's side put the Red Devils into the European Cup semi-final, and Best under the spotlight, famously coined the fifth Beatle by the Portuguese press. No connection to John, Paul, George or Ringo, the headlines simply showed George's celebrity status and his reach out of just football stardom. 2 years on from that performance and Matt Busby's Babes won the European Cup on home soil and Best's stock skyrocketed. At just 22, he'd claimed a league title, the European Cup and the Ballon d'Or. But he had developed the idea that a footballer wasn't just an athlete, but a celebrity in his own right. Jean-Marc Bosman. It's pretty obvious that any player with a whole law named after them has left a mark on the game. So up next we have Jean-Marc Bosman, responsible for changing transfers with the Bosman ruling. In 1990, the relatively unknown Belgian footballer was seeking an exit from his disappointing stint at Belgian side RFC Liège. Ligue 2 outfit Dunkirk were going to give the midfielder a lifeline, but his current employers demanded a fee for the transfer that Dunkirk couldn't meet. When his move fell through, Bosman saw Liège cut his wages by 75%. A 5-year legal battle later and Bosman finally won the case. The Bosman ruling meant that a player could leave their side on a free at the end of their contract, giving them leverage and gaining a better salary in the absence of a huge fee. Fearing that clubs could lose out, it switched the power over to the player and completely changed the outlook of the transfer window. Without the Bosman rule, big moves for Patrick Kluivert, Edgar Davids, Sol Campbell, Robert Lewandowski and the upcoming switch for Aaron Ramsey would not have been possible. David Beckham. Much like the iconic status of George Best, David Beckham could be considered a pioneer of branding in sports. An ambassador of Adidas, H&M and Hey Club, Beckham has become not just the face of designers, but pretty much a brand himself. However, it's his move to the MLS that we're interested in. When the Englishman crossed the Atlantic in 2007, he was entering a relatively unknown quantity, with soccer a widely unpopular sport. Beckham swapped Real Madrid for LA Galaxy in the search for his own American dream, but his switch has had an unprecedented impact on the entire league. The high-profile move elevated the MLS's profile massively, with his 5-year deal paying $6.5 million a year and was worth way more than they could ever even have considered. The acquisition of the superstar gave Galaxy a huge sponsorship with Herbalife worth a reported $20 million. And Beckham's arrival grabbed the attention of American sports fans, with the LA outfit gaining 11,000 new season tickets for his debut term. Since the former PSG, Real Madrid and Manchester United midfielder headed to the States, we've seen many other players opt to end their careers out there, including his former English teammates Steven Gerrard, Ashley Cole and Wayne Rooney. Thanks to Becks, it has become a genuine option for players looking to move away from Europe. George Weah. Currently the president of Liberia, George Weah hasn't only made a splash in the footballing sphere, but the political one too. However, we're looking at the role he played in the development of African football and how he opened everyone's eyes to talent outside of Europe. Over his 14-year career, Weah played in France, Italy and England, first moving to Monaco in 1988, when Arsene Wenger was alerted of his talents by Claude Leroy, who was coaching in Cameroon. For just £12,000, Weah swapped Cameroonian side Tonnerre Yaoundé for Ligue 1. Taking no time at all to settle in, Weah won the African Player of the Year award for the first time in 1989, before earning a move to PSG in 1992, claiming the Coupe de France in 1993 and 1995, and the league title in between. His impressive Champions League form, netting 7 as the tournament's top scorer, caught the attention of AC Milan and won him the Ballon d'Or in 95 to become the first, and so far only, African player to lift the Golden Ball. Alongside Roberto Baggio and under Fabio Capello, George Weah confirmed his status as one of the world's best forwards in Italy, adding to his trophy cabinet with 2 Serie A titles. His dominance in the 90s led to his nickname, King George. But more so, it opened the curtains for world football that Africa had a wealth of footballing talent, with the likes of Samuel Eto'o and Didier Drogba using his success as a role model in their own successful striking careers. Ada Hegerberg. The 2018-19 season has seen a boom in women's football. Juventus opened the doors of the Allianz Stadium for the first time for their women's team, whilst Atletico Madrid hosted a record-breaking crowd of over 60,000 spectators at the Wanda Metropolitano for the Rojiblancos to face Barcelona in March 2019. On the other hand, in England, fandom is yet to take off as explosively. However, the current sponsor of the Premier League, Barclays, have confirmed their deal with the Women's Super League for the 2019-20 season, sparking record levels of investment into the women's game. The partnership between Barclays and the English FA is hoping to drive growth from grassroots level to the top flight. This comes just months after Ada Hegerberg became the first ever woman to win a Ballon d'Or. After joining Lyon in 2014, her goal-scoring record turned astonishing. She scored 49 goals in 32 appearances for the French side in 2017-18 alone, and found the net 54 times in 35 games over the term before. Not only was her high-profile win at the Ballon d'Or ceremony important to finally recognise women's football at the same level as men's, but her quick and calm response when faced with sexist jeers from the host put huge issues under the spotlight. And we can't help but see Hegerberg's win as a catalyst for the recent developments. Giacinto Facchetti. The concept of fast and lethal wingbacks running up and down the touchlines, offering help in both attack and defence, are commonplace in top-flight football, with top coaches enjoying the benefits of speedy runners and great crossers in their squads. But who is actually responsible for the development of this position? We're going back a long way to say thank you to Giacinto Facchetti, the first truly great attacking fullback. Facchetti, a left-back, was born in 1942 and spent his entire career playing for Serie A giants Inter Milan. He made 476 appearances for his club and 94 for his country, representing Italy at 3 World Cups between 1966 and 1974, and he was the first ever defender to captain the Azzurri, leading them to a historic Euros win in 1968. A former forward and midfielder, Fachetti's pace, power and physicality, as well as his technical abilities, allowed him to excel as an attacking fullback. His trademark, attacking sprints down the left flank to cross the ball into the box, were a very unusual tactic at the time. So while top sides might be deploying the same game plan now, Facchetti was doing it in an intershirt 60 years ago, making him the founding father of the position made iconic by the likes of Dani Alves, Cafu and Roberto Carlos. Raheem Sterling. At the time of writing, Man City star Raheem Sterling has a social media following of over 5 million people, an audience that he is using to make a difference. Over the course of the 2018-19 season, football has witnessed a spike in racism. Moise Kean was recently victim to racist chanting from the Cagliari stands in Serie A, while the England national team faced the same abuse against Montenegro in the Euro qualifiers. Before that, Raheem Sterling was racially abused while playing for City against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. The issue is getting worse, with current punishment clearly not doing enough to deter the disgusting behaviour. But Sterling, who has been constantly victimised for his race, has taken a stand that could actually kickstart change. He has taken to social media and highlighted the problem, forcing a discourse to be open within the media, in the stadium stands and hopefully between the decision makers. While there is a huge amount of work to fight against the discriminators infecting the sport, Sterling's stance has urged others to speak up against abusers and called out other players who haven't shown full support. Sterling shouldn't have to lead this battle, but the use of his voice could mean that actions on and off the pitch this season mean way more than all the trophies he could win with Manchester City. Neymar. This one may hurt the footballing romantics, but unfortunately, money talks. In 2016, Paul Pogba broke the transfer record fee with an £89 million move back to the very same club who had let him go 4 years earlier. In 2017, PSG's billionaire owners more than doubled the Frenchman's record signing when they prized Neymar away from Barcelona for €222 million. This move blew the financial aspect of the game wide open, giving newfound power to clubs with in-demand talent. And it basically put the transfer market into hyperinflation mode, with Neymar's price tag now the measurement for value. Since the Brazilian switch, the 100 million barrier has been broken numerous times, with Kylian Mbappe, Philippe Coutinho and Cristiano Ronaldo all costing more than a landmark figure. Armed with the ability that money can in fact buy anything, even more power has been given to the beautiful game's big spenders, with smaller clubs finding it impossible to turn down such crazy figures for the talented players. The Neymar price tag has also seen a change in contracts, as the new market deemed many release clauses redundant, forcing clubs to offer new deals to gain security over their stars. For instance, Lionel Messi now has a release clause in his Barcelona contract, equating to a fee of £625 million. Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff will go down as one of the true revolutionaries, with his style as a player and a manager totally changing the game for the better. The iconic number 14 was famed for legendary performances for Ajax, Barcelona and the Netherlands over the 1970s. But his impact on the footballing world isn't limited to his spectacular displays on the pitch and the invention of the Cruyff turn. As a manager, the Dutchman revolutionised game plans, developing the idea he learned from Rinus Michels: total football. The philosophy created to eliminate all weaknesses from a team, as every player would be comfortable in any position, allowing free-flowing destruction of any opponent. In Catalonia, Cruyff didn't just instill his ideology in management, but in the literal brick and mortar, as it was his genius that built La Masia, a farm for young talent that would breed some of the world's very best. 3 years on from his death, we witnessed the heritage of Johan Cruyff through Pep Guardiola, who played in Cruyff's famous Barcelona team and takes much of his own managerial knowledge from his tutor. Having won 3 La Liga titles and 2 Champions Leagues with the Blaugrana and 3 Bundesliga medals with Bayern Munich, Guardiola proved the philosophy instilled by Cruyff was strong enough for the Premier League, also winning the title in 2018 with Manchester City. As the Spaniard leads their fight for a consecutive title and a possible trophy-laden season, we can see how deeply rooted Cruyff's philosophy runs in the success of teams decades on from his own debut in 1964.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down there right now. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well for more great content. See you next time.